Here we go. Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you never have before.
Where the buck stops
and the mic drops.
Bam. Here we go. All right, man. How was your week?
It's been a crazy week for me. Crazy week.
Crazy for you or John Morant?
Both of us. It's probably been worse for him. It's been pretty crazy for me, just with me working on my mock draft, the combine this past weekend, getting all the information from not only just seeing what we saw, but also what people are saying and filtering all that out and seeing what's the real talk and what's just smoke. Man, it's like my anxiety has been like when I posted my mock, I was my anxiety level just dropped. I was like, oh, thank God, it's over with until next month.
Yeah. Then I looked at your mock and I thought, we just call Anthony Richardson Taysom Hill, and he's got him going third or fourth.
I still like this is, and I wrote it down. They're going to treat him the way that they treated Josh Allen.
And what's
the only difference is
Will Levis get the comp of Josh Allen.
They're both kind of in that same category.
Yeah.
Just because they're both big arms, they can both move. So obviously, Anthony Richardson, after what we saw in the combine, he can do a lot more than just move. Like he physically just gifted. But last week, if you watched, I said that at the combine, Anthony Richardson was going to blow it up, but don't be shocked because everyone already knows that he's super athletic.
Yeah.
So all it really did for me was put numbers on the table.
Yeah.
So I expected him to go nuts. I didn't expect him to go as nuts as he did.
Weren't ready for a 4'4" at 6'4".
And he's like
244
240.
pounds.
Like he's a big boy.
So, like he had a really good combine.
He's not
I
quite
expected
DeMarcus.
it, but he did.
He's
he
almost
did better.
DeMarcus Russell size. Like he's a big boy. Jamarcus Russell. Sorry.
Jamarcus Russell. Man, he's close to like Dante Culpepper.
Man, he's a good quarterback. Wore a Fitz jersey for a little while.
Anthony Richardson. So one of the things that a lot of people are talking about with him, and this is the reason why I moved him up, because I still don't believe in him that much. I still think he's going to need a year or two.
Yeah.
But they're going to treat him in a way like Josh Allen, but also more like Patrick Mahomes. So Mahomes got a year to sit. That's more than likely what's going to happen. But they're going to treat this situation because Mahomes was a little more polished. Anthony Richardson's not.
Yeah.
And what I heard, the reason why he's not as polished is he didn't actually go to a prep school like all these other
Top flight.
top quarterbacks did.
Yeah.
So he got a regular high school coaching evaluation, basically.
Yeah.
So there's a lot about being the quarterback he just doesn't know.
I heard a thing.
So there's like that floor.
That was one of the things I heard
like
is that there's
you can
questions. Like the question that a lot of people went to was, how is he in the classroom to put it on the field? Because what they don't know is, did he not get taught how to learn a playbook, or does he just not care to know how to do a playbook?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the question. Is if he doesn't care, then he's Vince Young. He's done in 3 years.
He made a comment that really kind of bugged me, but a lot of people make comparisons to Brett Favre on it, and it's about I'm not the one catching the ball. You know, he kind of hold on, no, that's a different statement that he made. So this one was I just throw it as hard as I can.
Okay.
If I hurt your fingers, I hurt your fingers. Catch it. You know, it wasn't those exact words, but that's kind of what he said. And they brought up Brett Favre and Antonio Freeman. And apparently Antonio Freeman, he can't grab stuff with his hands because his fingers are just all gnarled up from having to catch balls from Brett Favre.
Because he just Brett Favre would break fingers.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So if he can learn to dial it down, he could actually bring the whole problem with his accuracy up. If he can learn to dial it back. Because he's constantly just fling it as hard as possible.
Get a little more touch.
Yeah, get a more touch, be more polished. You learn how to play quarterback because that's what he needs. He didn't really get it. Kind of like we were talking about Tebow. Like Tebow just never got that opportunity to learn how to be a quarterback. They just went with what he was good at and ran with it.
They took him in a college system and they said, we can win if we play this way. That's why, that was the Urban Meyer thing. Urban Meyer took what your strengths were and he just did that. And he thought he could do that in the NFL. That's why he didn't work out. You have to be able to excel.
That's kind of what Anthony Richardson is in a way, because he didn't get good enough coaching in high school. And then once you got to college, it's not really...
They're not playing to develop you for
they're trying to win.
They want to win now. So they took the athlete and said, he's the best option, but he still has this that needs to be worked.
So to me, there's this aura about him that there's something there that you could build up because he didn't have the same kind of foundation that all these other quarterbacks have.
So
that's the problem with Will Levis. And the reason why he got further down on my board, which I wanted to drop him further, but until the Raiders make a move for a quarterback, I can't.
You think they'll go?
They'll have to go with the other quarterback left, and that's Will Levis.
Which
the problem
some people
with Levis,
say is the best one. So it still opens up that you might not lose by getting Will Levis.
I wouldn't even closely say he's the best one. I think it's between Stroud and Young, and Young is only not the first one in my opinion because of his size. And that's it. And the 200 pounds, he reached 200 pounds. But every one of them evaluators know that when he goes to his pro day and when he goes into the NFL, he is not going to be 200 pounds.
No, absolutely.
He did it just to weigh in to prove he could be 200 pounds. That's it.
He ate some cheesecake the night before.
Exactly. So even though he reached that mark, I don't think anyone's really going to trust it, despite the fact that it's going to be there that it's 200 pounds.
Yeah.
They know he's not. And we could look to guys like Kyler Murray, who his profile is almost exactly the 5'10" and 7/8 or whatever it was, and 207 pounds to 5'10" and 7/8 wherever it was, to 204. The only difference is them two guys are built completely different, and Kyler looks like he would be 15 pounds heavier than Bryce Young, even though they're 3 pounds away from each other.
Yeah.
So I think Stroud's better, but Levis he's a wild card because he couldn't beat out Clifford in Penn State, so he transferred to Kentucky. He had a really good season, lost his offensive coordinator to the NFL, lost his number one receiver, lost an actual to the Giants, Wandale Robinson.
Yeah.
And then Darian Kennard, which was his right tackle, 380-pound massive monster that nobody could get by. This year, he had an offensive coordinator that got fired mid-season. Nothing else was good on the team.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with turf toe.
Yeah, so...
And he was getting ejections. So it was really hard to evaluate this year. But what a lot of people are saying is he's got the same problem that Anthony Richardson does, except he's had the coaching to correct things.
Yeah.
He's got bad mechanics too. Anthony Richardson just hasn't learned a lot of that yet.
Okay, so that'll be interesting. We'll get to dive in more. This is the draft's 50 days away now? 49 days away from now? Before that even happens, though, we get to the wild days of free agency.
Starts on the 15th.
I was going to say, free agency's coming in
I'm
7 days, and you've got...
I'm excited for it.
You've got a monster thing going. First and foremost, you have Lamar sitting on the market where... So what they did is they gave him a non-exclusive franchise tag. A couple days ago, the requirement was you had to franchise tag your guy, so that only you could talk to him, or he would play for you for 1 year. That's what happened to guys like Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, a few other guys around the league. You had that. Lamar's got situations different, and I believe the Ravens did this with Ray Lewis years ago too. They put a non-exclusive tag on him, which means that if he signs the tag, he plays for them for $32 million.
Yeah.
But if someone comes along, say the Panthers, the Dolphins, someone like that comes along and goes, Lamar, we want you, we'll give you this contract, the Ravens can match it. If they don't match it, then they have to give, the other team that gets Lamar has to in turn give away this year's first round pick and one more first round pick to get Lamar back on the team.
And they have to have
then you have to have the money.
Picks.
Yes, because you have to have all the picks accordingly, and you have to have the money to do it. Like the Dolphins actually can't do this because they don't have a pick this year because
they can do it after the draft.
Yeah, if it
so
goes
they can
after
offer
the draft,
a 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, And so that could play into things. But I mean, it's going to be crazy because it sounds to me that he wants to even be on the Ravens, but the conversation because of how the deal. Remember, he's a no agent guy. Him and his mom are handling all this, and that's where they say it gets difficult.
It comes down to the fact that he just wants fully guaranteed, and the NFL Haslam kind of messed things up
with the Browns.
And the owners are like, no one else is doing that.
That's all in relation to last year's big contract that Deshaun Watson got. They don't want to do that.
Fully guaranteed, and they don't want to do it.
And it was like $230 million, or it was a lot of money. And even though I think all NFL players should get fully guaranteed, being that their contract. If we get them in baseball, why can't you get them in a sport that's physically you could end your career at any hit?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it would make sense if they paid them less and fully guaranteed their money, even though their sport makes more money than any of them. But they have bigger rosters, so you have to play into that also. So
my brother and I, we actually talked about this at the gym. Was what they need to do is they need to have a base pay for everybody, and it has to be enough for even the lower guys.
Yeah, like a elite minimum.
It has to be elite minimum that everyone gets paid.
Yeah.
But the more you do, the more you get paid. So
the only
if
thing
you
is
end
that
up becoming an all-pro, like you're going to end up making a lot of money.
You're teetering a line though that says that the great players will get punished by getting injured though. Like, say you have a freak event where if you're mostly a healthy guy and then you have a bad year because you got hurt, well, now you're taking it from their pocket, and that's not necessarily their fault. I mean, their base needs to be moved up by hitting these milestones then, because you're looking at there's no reason why basketball players and baseball players should be getting more money than football players. And I love all the sports involved. I love anything with a ball, basically. But the amount of money that Patrick Mahomes makes the Kansas City Chiefs is more money than any player on an MLB roster makes a team, and it's more money than almost any team in an NBA. Any NBA player is going to make that organization.
I'd have to look more into it, but I know there's more to it and the reason why they don't do it.
I really feel like the guaranteed money comes down to simply the fact of the injury risk. I think that they don't.
Well, yeah,
and because they're trying to protect them.
Hit?
Oh, for sure, they're trying to protect themselves just as much.
For a fully guaranteed contract, a cap hit for if you ever want to get rid of the guy. Like Deshaun Watson's, next year is like $109 million cap hit if they cut him.
That's what they need to change. They need to change the way the cap hits work. Like in baseball, the contract's fully guaranteed, but if you cut a guy, you don't like Chris Davis is still getting paid by the Orioles because he got hurt. He's gonna get paid till like 30 or 2034 or something.
Oh, okay.
And by the end of it, he's gonna get like $2 million, 500,000. I think last year, Ken Griffey Jr. was like the fourth highest paid player on the Reds.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He's still getting paid by the Reds?
Yes, he's still getting paid by the Reds. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so these numbers will fall on the book, but because they can do that breakdown pay and pay these guys over years, it doesn't have to affect what the team puts on the field as much. And so they should just go and do it like that and go, okay, we're going to prorate your salary. We're cutting you, but we're going to prorate you because we cut you early. You get an additional 10% of your contract over the next 5 years, and that allows them to stretch that out, and that would then reduce those cap hits, allow them to guarantee the money to those people, and it would protect those players because the NFL is not going any away.
Right.
It's getting more and more profitable every single year. So if we just found a way to guarantee these players got their money, you wouldn't run into these. Well, you have to keep this guy on the team that sucks because it's $100 million on the salary cap. Well, no, you don't have to keep him because. Like Deshaun Watson's, the buyout would be for the next 20 years. We'll pay you Bobby Bonilla style. I mean, now it would be like $5 million a year versus $1 million, but.
So let's go ahead. All right, back on Lamar. All right, so Adam Schefter actually came out and talked about what's actually going on with this.
Yeah.
So the Ravens, I was one of them that said it, but apparently there's a little bit more to it. I was saying it was kind of collusion, a coup d'etat by the owners to kind of take everything back. What he was actually talking about was the Ravens are basically going, we'll let the market decide what you're worth, and then we'll match it. Because they want
him back.
So they're and then the reason why so many teams said no is because they didn't want to do the work.
Exactly. Why would you do all the work and know that you're not going to get the reward? And so
that's what it's actually coming down.
I think that's why it plays into, because like I heard that they did this with Ray Lewis years ago, back when he was having trouble and he was on the team. They were saying that the Ravens did the same thing. That they were one of the first teams to actually use the non-exclusive tag. And all these other teams lined up because who didn't want Ray Lewis.
Right.
And they all did it, and then the Ravens came in and go, thanks guys, we'll take it. And so, but now you don't ever see it. Like, it's very rare that teams actually use the non-exclusive tag. You either tag the guy or you don't. That's just usually how we see it happen.
Yeah.
And so, and especially in the weird situation that he's in where there's not an agent involved, you have to figure out how the standards go. You have to work through all the other channels.
Saquon actually signed a non-exclusive too.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I
But
saw they franchise tagged him, but I didn't see it was not
it wasn't like reported because
Lamar's
no one's
name.
really going to pay a lot for the running back. So they did it because they're working on the contract.
I think the only
Because
team that
it
goes
was
out and
lower.
makes the pay to him would be like the Bears, because they have all
Probably.
that cap space. The Bears would be the only team that goes, all right, we'll pay you. I mean, and that's just because Saquon next to Justin Fields
I mean, it would be nice.
would be interesting. I mean, but Lamar is a guy that's won 80% or something of his starts as a starter. Like, the guy's well over 500 in regular season games. He just doesn't have the playoff numbers. He's got an MVP. If he can stay healthy, he can be that guy. So if you're the Ravens, I get why you want him.
And another one of the other reasons why I know a lot of these other teams are kind of saying that they're out. It's a lot of the teams that are up in that area where they have the opportunity to get a quarterback. And so they're not risking giving up 2 first-round picks plus having to drop a massive contract.
Like, the other team that I think you'd have seen interested would have been like a Falcons.
And they've already said they're out.
Yeah, which, I mean, the Falcons or a Panthers, a team that's in that, but those are the kind of teams that are like, well, like, look, Panthers sitting there at 7, they might have a chance at a guy like a Will Levis or someone without having to make a trade. So why, if you think you like the boom of that potential, then you take that if you don't give away the draft.
The Panthers to me is like the best.
Yep, we brought him back.
The smartest. Huh?
Oh, Reed was giving me a hard time for our love over the Panthers, but I told him,
Oh.
you have to get over that. I love the Panthers.
They have a really good team. They didn't have the coaching. Like, they have a really good team. Their defense is really good. Their offensive line is really good.
And looking over most of your free agent quarterbacks, the guys that we thought would be available outside of Lamar, who the only way you're getting him is if you just throw a godly number at him that the Ravens go, there's no way. Like, and that's it. Because if you look at it,
one
Daniel
of the
Jones,
richest owners in the NFL.
This is true.
So he's got the opportunity to do it.
Daniel Jones signs for $40 million.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about that.
$40 million for a guy that over the last 3 years, the stat was that I read that he's thrown less touchdowns than I think the team had won games or something. Like, it was just this really weird number where.
Can you name his number 1 receiver?
Well, that's the other point, though, and that someone said is that last year he was thrown to Isaiah Hodgins. Like, that was to start by the end of the year. That's what he had.
His number 1 receiver. Can you guess who it is?
It was Isaiah Hodgins at the end of the year last year.
Well, I mean,
Wan'Dale Robinson would probably be the guy.
No,
Kenny Golladay, the big money. That was him. Oh, I don't know that. I didn't know I could name 3 Giants receivers. I'm proud of that. Like,
I mean, that was pretty good. you had it going. It's and I already lost it.
It's probably Saquon.
Goodness, hold on.
He's got to find it. No, while he looks, we can go. There's a few other guys that got a franchise. We saw Josh Jacobs got franchise tagged. There weren't but like 7 or 8
Darius
guys.
Slayton.
There goes. Darius Slayton.
So Slayton played 61% of the snaps.
Oh, really?
That was his best receiver. So to put this into perspective, 61% of receivers and tight ends. If he was on the Cowboys,
I was gonna say
he would have been the 5th most.
I was about to say we give crap. We give defense to guys like Dak, who, and I support Dak most time, but people in the media will defend Dak when he didn't have CeeDee or he didn't have Amari. I mean, Daniel Jones, I've made my jokes about, but when that's the best thing you've had to throw to. I'm not saying you're worth $40 million. You probably should have gotten paid closer to what Geno got paid, which is I think about $35 million a year. But
the receiver with the 2nd most snap counts, Richie James.
Oh yeah, I started that guy in fantasy one week.
And then it goes down to Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah.
Like, you have one receiver, or technically Daniel Bellinger, the rookie tight end, he played 50%. So you had two people play over 50% at receiver, and that's the best you have.
If the Giants go out and do, I mean, there's not a big receiver. Look, I've got a list top 50 free agents right now. It's not going to have much as a receiver because like Juju's one of the bigger names, and he's already basically been said that he's going back to Kansas City. The Chiefs have already said that it's going to be the same staple of guys. Like they're bringing back the same receiving core, and they're going to run it back, which I don't blame them because that receiving core looks pretty darn dynamic with him at.
Like their best option to me would be to go out and get DJ Chark.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting if he leaves the Lions because I've heard he liked it there a lot and wanted to stay if he can make it happen.
And someone that you didn't know his nickname, Bobby Trees. Like he's another one that they could get. Like just looking at this list, obviously we already know Juju is going to go back. So you don't really have a lot to choose from. And then in this draft,
Jacoby Meyer might be one of
Jacoby Meyer.
Jacoby Meyer might be the best receiver on the board. Yeah. Like that, like he literally is looking top 50 free agents in football, and the first receiver that even came up was Jacoby Meyer at 37. And I know wrong, Jacoby Meyer wasn't a bad player. I think he's underrated for what he was as a receiver. Maybe in a better offense, you see some more out of him.
He's basically Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah,
that's his style.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, it's not a deep wide receiver free agent list, and I mean honestly, from what I saw, the bits that I got to watch at the combine, it didn't seem like they worked out great. The position didn't look as explosive as they would have hoped from a lot of guys. So it could be interesting.
So to bring that up,
Mike Gesicki, that's the best receiver on the board. He's a tight end.
Yeah. So one of the things that to bring up about the combine was my mock draft or my mock 1.0.
Yeah.
I had Jalen Hyatt at 12. That was based on the fact that he was going to be a speed burner. Now
4.41.
4.41 is fast.
It is, but it's not a burner.
But he was supposed to be a 4.2 runner.
Yeah.
So the fact that the fastest receiver he was supposed to be the fastest player, but he was supposed to be the fastest receiver, and he wasn't even the fastest receiver.
Yeah. So that's gonna.
So I was like, when I saw the 4.4, I had made a comment on Twitter, and someone was like, "Dude, a 4.4 is fast." I'm like, "Yeah, I get that." But he was supposed to be like the burner of the class.
Like he's gonna need to go drop.
Him and A-Chain were supposed to be the two fastest players in this draft, and DJ Turner ended up running a 4.26.
Yeah, so that's gonna change some things. Looking at it, I mean, receiver options there's a few teams that are gonna need it, and literally the third best option would be maybe Lazard. Parrish Campbell's on here, but he's an injury guy. Richie James is actually the seventh highest rated free wide receiver, and that's what he had last year. So then you go to Marvin Jones Jr. I mean, it's just not a strong list of guys to throw the ball to. So you're not going to really improve your team in free agency at the wide receiver position there.
No.
You're going to have to look to go trade.
DeAndre Hopkins is on the board, on the block.
This is true. There is talk about him being a tradable piece.
So, and from what I read, they're only looking for a second for him, which it's
understandable.
It's a lot, but it's not a lot.
It's not, especially if you're
considering what you got.
If you're the Giants, your second round pick's in the 50s. I mean, it's a back of the second round pick because you were a front end playoff team. Like you made the playoffs, so you're talking
58.
Yeah, so if you're 50, almost 60, DeAndre Hopkins makes your team better. If you want to give your guy a guy. The other thing I thought was funny is that we saw 3 running backs get the franchise tag. In a league that doesn't want to pay running backs, we saw 3 of them get the tag. And they also, from the list I'm looking at, they put Jacobs as a better running back than Barkley.
Well, I would say yes.
I think Jacobs has a better season.
Well, I think it has more to do with just the fact that Barkley has a little more injury history than Jacobs does.
Do you take the injury history versus the underproduction though? Because Jacobs, I'm wrong. Jacobs boomed this year, and I like the kid, but you go back to the 2 years before that, and he wasn't special. Like he was just a guy. And now all of a sudden he's a top tier running back because he had a huge season.
Well, you also have to look at the fact that when he came out of college, he didn't have a lot of starts either.
This is true. He's
actually
college.
That's
Alabama.
Some college players were able to kind of build up to get to the NFL.
Yeah.
He's used the NFL to build up.
And it's gonna have, and there's a lot of running backs out there too. You got Sanders, Montgomery, Singletary, Harris from the Patriots, Donta Foreman, Kareem Hunt. I mean, the running back market is loaded. So,
and that's what's hurting.
Alexander Madison's on this list, and I want to bring his name up because did you hear what he did yesterday? A car broke into flames in Austin, and Alexander Madison ripped the door open.
KJ Osborne.
KJ Osborne. It was a Viking. Okay, KJ Osborne, the Viking receiver, breaks into the car and saves a man's life.
Yeah.
Props to that guy. Screw everything else. Pay that guy for being a human.
Pay him for being a good human.
Probably the second best receiver on the Vikings.
And the running backs. So that's what makes Bijan in this draft
so hard
to place because there's so many.
And it hurts all these free agent running backs because you're not going to get a big contract.
Well, there's also a bunch of good running backs in the draft. So, like, you have this good free agency, and then you have this good draft of running backs.
The question's going to be, do they think his talent genuinely transcends what these other guys bring? And that's what's going to come down to.
Yeah.
And so that'll be interesting.
He is so difficult to place because the Falcons could totally use someone like him.
Yeah.
But would they use something that high for a team that's more run-centric, but they have like all these running backs already.
And
you have Patterson and the two rookies that they got last year that ended up doing pretty well. Like now you're the Buccaneers. Are you?
And the Bucs are so bad now.
The Buccaneers have basically got rid of everybody, and then they're saying that they're going to be a lot more run-centric. So,
but
they just hold on to Rachaad White?
Which is true. They have Rachaad White, but he isn't. I mean, he was more of a scat kind of guy for them.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to get. I mean, they're gonna have to get them a power guy. But they have all the weapons there. They just don't have anyone to throw the ball.
I don't know. They
love Kyle Trask. That's right.
They believe Kyle Trask was the starting quarterback last year if Brady didn't return.
It'll be an interesting market though. There's a lot of big free agents that are going to come out.
What happens with this? Just because I'm a huge doubter of Trask. I was a doubter in the draft.
Trask, trash. They kind of go together.
Yeah, like it's weird because I just don't believe in it. But you had 2 years behind Tom Brady, so that's got to do something.
It is funny that Florida was like, "Hey, we had Kyle Trask, this big statue quarterback that stands here and just throws," and then we're like, "Let's go the total opposite and throw out Anthony Richardson." I mean, they played both sides of the coin. They didn't win with either one of them.
And
Florida football has not been good the last.
Speaking of the Buccaneers, they cut their starting left tackle, Donovan Smith, which Tristan Wirfs is now moving over to left tackle, so now they're going to have an open spot at right. So that's going to be interesting.
Tristan Wirfs is a stud, so that's not going to hurt them in any aspects.
And Donovan Smith was terrible last year, so
yeah, he led the league in holding penalties and all other kinds of.
He was one of the worst PFF graded offensive tackles.
Yeah, free agency is going to get fun. You've got some guys like Jesse Bates, Bobby Wagner, Levante David, a lot of linebackers. Linebacker's another position that if your team's a weakness is a linebacker. I was looking and it's got, where did it go? Here we go. Bobby Wagner, Levante David, Tremont Edwards, TJ Edwards, Van Der Esch, Singletary. I mean, there's a pretty solid list of guys that could step in and help your football team now.
Yeah.
Like, if you're... it'll be a lot of money's gonna get thrown around, and that way, and then next year we get to watch all these guys get cut because
exactly.
That's what it's gonna be. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it is we see these guys get signed. Like Jadeveon Clowney is only 29, and that dude's gonna get a 1-year deal somewhere for like $10 million.
How about the Chiefs cutting Frank Clark?
Yeah, the all-time playoff sack leader, and they're just like, sorry man, we gotta save money to sign.
They did it a couple years ago with
Well, they have Chris
D
Jones
Ford.
too. Yeah, and
they were just like,
And they have Chris Jones, who, I mean, you can't doubt on him. And then the Jags get Calvin Ridley back. The reinstatement happens, and they tag Evan Ingram. So that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense is going to be nasty.
It's going to be pretty.
I will say, if we get to see Jags versus Chiefs, that might be your 50-50 ball game next year.
So, talking about running backs, I totally forgot. The Titans have King Henry on the trading block too.
That's true. And you know what? I don't think that you get much back for him.
You don't, not with that huge contract.
Well, it's only $16 million for 1 year. So if you're a team like the Bears or someone who has tons of space, you could absorb the contract. But with, like we said, with a good running back class and a good free agency class, why would you trade and give away assets for Derrick Henry? Like, he's great. He's been a great player. And if you're the Tennessee Titans, if you're a fan, I don't know what's going on there, because you trade A.J. Brown and he goes and damn near gets him a Super Bowl. So if they're just in the market of sending players away, that might be the only reason I trade for him, is apparently if you get a good Titan player, you go to the Super Bowl. So maybe I want him on the Dolphins for that. Cowboy fans, you want him? You might be losing Zeke. So
I mean, that would
that would be your Zeke replacement.
Not something I would want to see, but that's good.
How would you imagine the freight train?
No, on the Dolphins.
Oh, on the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That would I would like to see that.
Especially because you keep Tua healthy then. And,
oh yeah.
Man, we actually be winnable, because our running back room right now is Salvin Ahmed. And
I was about to say,
yeah, that's it. Gaskin. Miles Gaskin. The other two are both Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert are both free agents. And I like Jeff Wilson, but I don't think he changes enough that you have to.
Yeah.
And Mostert is just old. I mean, he's 33-year-old running back now or something. It's time to move on. And so, there's a lot of good names out there though.
So I see right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll go ahead and talk about that guy.
Yeah, Tony Pollard.
We'll go ahead and talk about them Cowboys. And what this means for the Cowboys.
$28 million is currently invested in the running back room of the Dallas Cowboys.
I think this means that either Zeke is going to take a pay cut or he's going to get cut. Like,
because of that tag, I think Zeke has to take a pay cut of more than his cap hit, though.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, if he wants to, and I don't know that he gets paid by anybody else more than $5 million, $4 million.
Like, it's crazy to think about when you look at his numbers, they're not actually bad.
No.
He's just not explosive anymore.
He's not. He is a safe 3 yards.
He's a small Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
That's all
he is. But he's also not. He's not as strong. He's really good at falling forward. Like when he gets
that too. Yeah.
He falls forward.
Yeah. He's good about gaining that extra little yard.
He does. He gets that 1 yard. It's not like he's plowing through guys. If he had a Derrick Henry style power to his game, there'd still be something there.
Yeah.
Because then you could just keep him to do. I mean, he's not even as strong as I'd say Jamal Williams. Like, I would say Jamal Williams.
Not, yeah.
If the Cowboys could use him like the Lions use Jamal Williams, you'd keep it. You'd be happy with that because he could still get you touchdowns. But I don't think that if I'm at the defense and I'm at the 1 and you're turning around to give it to Zeke, I don't guarantee that Zeke's beating us physically.
Using Jerome Bettis was a very bad example just because Bettis
was a monster.
He was
a hoss.
So,
I mean,
I take
that. I get your
back. I take that back.
Your idea of the stature, the build, the belly, and all that. But he's kind of like the fullback for the Ravens.
He's Picard.
Yeah, he's more like a fullback. Like he's a good blocker.
He's
you gotta give him that. He can block.
Power runner.
He's not powerful.
That's what I'm saying. He's a finesse power runner. Like he's big enough to be the power runner, but he's more finesse.
He's good enough to be in the NFL, but he's just not the guy anymore. A lot of that comes down to the lack of taking care of his body when he was younger. I don't think that he did the work in his early 20s so that his body would be what it is now. Derrick Henry, that dude is a monster in the gym. That guy is physically built. That besides the foot injury, which is a freak injury that he had, Derrick Henry is physically built to play another 3 years in the league, I think, because of how he works out.
I thought he tore his ACL.
I thought
Saquon had an ankle injury.
No, the foot thing. Derrick Henry had the foot injury the year before last that cost him like half the season.
I thought he tore his ACL.
I thought it was like a Liz Franker in his foot or something weird like that. Whatever it was, the point of it is a freak injury is a freak injury. Derrick Henry is not. He's not breaking down physically because he's just bigger than you. He bounces those big hits off of guys because of how big he is.
You know who he reminds me of though? Brandon Jacobs.
I loved Brendan Jacobs.
I did too.
The dude was a hoss.
I hated him because he was a giant, but I loved him.
No, that dude was a hoss.
Him, Marion Barber, I love those dudes that just,
the dude that can just
seek somebody out just to punish them.
The stiff arm is like my favorite move in the open field. And when Derrick Henry, the best stiff arm of all time is obviously Beastquake. When he just takes Tracy Porter and throws him about 7 yards while running to the house for the touchdown in Seattle.
Okay, so last year he missed 9 games due to a pedal foot fracture.
Yeah, so something.
Okay.
But that's a freak event thing. Like that's not any kind of.
I don't know. I thought that was a ACL.
But Derrick Henry's the other guy. He just grabs people and he just throws them.
Yeah,
like it's awesome.
He's just a monster.
And so, but I know Tony Pollard does have. He's 26, but he does have fresh legs for the NFL. The Cowboys did not use him a lot until this year.
How fresh are his legs with that torn ACL?
But that's it. I don't understand. That's my other thing with the Cowboys is that you just a year removed, not even a full year removed, from giving Michael Gallup 4 years, $40 million off a torn ACL, and know that he did not look the same all year. And your answer is, I'm going to give the guy that's my explosive running back the same contract.
Yeah,
that's the only problem I have. Because I like Tony Pollard, the player.
Yeah,
I think that he's got fresh legs. I think he's got all that, but he ended his season with breaking his left fibula.
Oh,
that's what his
ACL was a fibula.
Yeah,
okay.
he ended the season with a broken left fibula.
I just want to give everybody a torn ACL.
You do. I mean, it is pretty torn ACL for everybody. Could have been Brady. Gone out with one of those. But no, it'll be if he comes back healthy though. I mean, he's definitely the guy. You're gonna. But I don't know with them. But he's typical of Jerry Jones. He's a typical Jerry Jones guy. I'm keeping my guys in the building.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk bringing in the other guy because the logical decision for the Cowboys, honestly, would have been let Tony Pollard walk, cut Zeke.
Should have been.
Let Tony walk.
There's plenty of guys in this draft that could fill the same role.
You draft the running back, and that saves you money that you can address the other needs that you have because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't harp on a guy like Dak's contract because we've just talked about Daniel Jones getting $40 million. Geno just got $35.5 million. We're about to see whatever the Ravens end up saying yes to from someone else is what's going to happen. I mean, $38 million for your starting quarterback's not bad.
Derek Carr gets paid.
Yeah, Derek Carr gets $35 million to go to the Saints. Stupid Panthers. And so, we've seen those guys move around. So it's going to be fun watching this next. I mean, that's going to start on Wednesday next week, right? Like when we get on, there will probably have already been big names.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
So Wednesday will be who we think. There'll probably be guys signed while we're recording.
When we record, it's going to start.
It's like at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So 4 hours after we jump on, there will have already been contracts. Because the NFL is not like baseball where the deadline hits and everyone waits 2 months. The NFL, they're like, give me my money right now because I'm going to get hurt in practice and I'm not going to get paid.
Boom.
So we'll start seeing guys fall off the board left and right. And we haven't even touched on guys like Jimmy Garoppolo and any of that. And then
speaking of,
oh my!
Did you hear the stuff about him possibly going to Houston?
What?
Yeah. Think about it. Who was their head coach?
D'Amico Ryans is now.
Where'd he come from?
Oh my God.
Who was their offensive coordinator? Where'd he come from?
San Francisco.
Their GM is the GM from New England that drafted him.
Texans just say, screw it, we're taking an edge rusher.
I would not be surprised if they signed Jimmy Garoppolo and they went and drafted Will Anderson.
No, screw that. If you're them and you draft Jimmy Garoppolo, you do the same thing the Bears do. Now you're trading the second pick.
Technically what I would do...
Or it's the ultimate Band-Aid and you draft a quarterback still.
And draft Anthony Richardson.
If that's...
Why
yeah,
not?
because if you think he's going to be... God, because then... But then if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you basically have another Trey Lance
You already know... At this point in your career, you already know you're a bubble guy. You know you're just a band. You're a
better version of Andy Dalton.
Yeah. So he knows wherever he goes, more than likely he's going to be a bridge quarterback, and that's it.
Yeah, he's basically what Tyrod Taylor was that for a little bit, and then was it Matt Castle? Not Matt Castle. there have been a few bridge guys that you sign that guy and then you find your franchise.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett was the guy that the Seahawks for the Russell Wilson guy. Russell Wilson gets drafted and they didn't want to start a rookie, but they had Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn was the same way. Matt Flynn would get signed, boom, that team would draft their franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And so,
but yeah, it's really crazy to think about the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo could be with the Texans, and we're all going Bryce Young to the Texans, Bryce Young to the Texans, or CJ Stroud to the Texans, and all of a sudden
they did it and they just turn around and they trade
Will Anderson, baby.
We could actually sit down. Now remember, I think our plan is still to live feed the NFL draft. We'll probably Facebook Live it onto the BAM Experience Facebook page and then share it onto our 2 pages so that y'all can find the link and join it and like it. If the first 2 picks of Thursday night NFL draft were both traded because both teams were like, no, we got our quarterback.
Well, see,
what a night we would be in for. Be a tiring Friday.
I don't know if Houston would do it because they already have number 12 also.
Yeah, but you need a lot. You're bad. I mean, you should have been the number 1 pick. You have an offensive line.
They were
That's
actually fairly good for how bad they were. Like, the record says that they're bad, but they actually stayed in quite a bit of games.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the Lions a couple years ago where when Dan Campbell first came in, like, they only won 1 or 2 games, but every single game, like, they were in every single time. And you were like, dude, I know they have a losing record and they suck, but they are a lot better.
You've got no one to throw the ball to. You got
Nico Collins.
Okay.
And
you're getting the kid back from Alabama that had cancer.
I got his name written down.
Yeah, you'll get him back, but you could still, I don't know, I would like to just have more darts to throw at talent. Like, you trade the 2nd pick somehow. Say you can move back. Yeah, John Meacham the 3rd. You can move back and get 2-3 picks for that. And you can pick up just defensive pieces to go with Stingley. You've got a young corner. Maybe you can put more talent on the outsides there. More secondary help. I mean, you could literally become what we think in the Panthers in a couple years. The problem is that being in the AFC just sucks right now. Like, being in the AFC is just not where you want to be because the AFC is stacked for the next. As long as Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and all those guys are suiting up, it's basically what it was when it was Roethlisberger, Brady, and Peyton. Like,
I don't know. To me, I don't think, because there's a level of, like, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, and then there's just everyone else. Like, so you're passing up on elite talent to load up on starting talent.
To get starters, yeah.
So I don't know, like the 12th pick, I could totally see them trading down with someone to build to get another 2nd round pick and a future pick next year.
Say they traded out, say just hypothetical me here, say they Bears trade out, Texans trade out, we see Bryce, Stroud, Richardson, and then even Will Levis. Say we see all 4 go. You could still technically take 12 and 1 more, slide back up to 5, and get your guy and still get the extra assets.
So you would trade out.
You trade out.
Down, and then trade back up.
And then trade back up, but you still have extra assets from the other trades.
You need to quit watching Draft Day.
Hey, it's a great movie. But I'm just saying, like, you could pull. I mean, we've seen moves like that happen before, though. I mean, it wasn't just Kevin Costner that did it. Hey, number 1 pick was a linebacker. Hey, kid. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. And then we get into all the other fun stuff. We've got John Morant. That's not my smoothest transition, but he's got to be touched on this week. Yeah. Because what's coming forward with him.
You want to touch on John Morant?
I don't want to touch him. I'm gonna be honest.
He might.
Someone said the other day the 3 best shooters in the league right now are Steph, Clay, and John Morant. So if you don't know what's happened, you've been under a rock. But John Morant is like a very good home life. Like, he's grown up with 2 parents that loved him. He had the whole experience. He did the AAU ball. He went to a very good school in Murray State University. I mean, he didn't come off this, like, streets life. Like, he's not the hood isn't him. But the people he keeps around him are starting to tell him that he needs to stand up for himself.
Yeah.
Because now, out of nowhere, a teenage boy can walk up to Jaw and go, "You're not man enough. Someone's going to die. Turn the water heater on in my house." But you're not man enough, so we're going to argue with you about it. And he's doing this stuff, and he's going south. And it's not only is it going to affect his career right now, this is stuff that if he doesn't figure it out, we're talking trajectory of his career could be in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's one of the guys that's the face of the league right now.
And so he's basically been cleared, but
yeah, the charges were dropped in Denver.
They are keeping him away from the team. The team is keeping him away for an extended time.
Up to 2 weeks is what they're doing minimum right now.
So there's a lot going on with this. Like he's just there's no reason to try to be a fake gangster.
There's not.
There's no reason.
If
you're you're a professional player,
as
let
much
someone else
money
be
as
a
you
gangster
make
for
and
you.
are in line to do and change your life, don't even be a real gangster. Like, why? These guys that have been there and done it will go and tell you left and right that was the mistake that they wish they would have gotten rid of. And then it's not even counting in all the double standards and all the things he's gotten because he's getting huge contract deals from Powerade. He's about to restore the face of Powerade, they say. Literally the day before all this comes out, he's the face. And then Nike comes out and does this huge promo with these sweet new shoes, which is a whole different hair of problems because Nike comes out and says what Jaw's going through is a mental health issue. And listen, I'm 100% going to go through. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I stand behind mental health issues. I will always stand for it. It's a strong thing through my household. But you give him a pass for mental health issues that are randomly come up in his life all of a sudden, but you couldn't stand beside Kyrie Irving for having an opinion because you didn't like his voice and his opinion. You kicked him off your brand because it made you look bad.
Yeah.
But Jaw fighting a teenager and pulling out a gun in a strip club. Like, you can see he's in a strip club. He's not just in the club. He's in a strip club. I mean, that's... And now you want to support that. So, Nike, this makes you look just as bad as it does Jaw.
Right. We got some breaking news here. This is a Woj bomb. Seattle Sonics star Sean Kemp has been booked for an alleged drive-by shooting.
Oh, man. That'd be a guy that'd go in the rafters when they bring Seattle Sonics back someday.
Man, I don't think he's going to go in the Raptors now.
Oh, man. Sean Kemp. Fun player. Tons of athletic. He was basically Giannis before Giannis was.
Yeah.
Like, that's... You want a player comp. Giannis is better, but Sean Kemp was Giannis, if you don't
By the
know.
way, do this little transition back to the NFL because we forgot to talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we like to forget about it. I gotta be real. I'm getting to be to the point with a lot of other people where I'm almost just tired of Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't want him to retire in the same class as Brady because I don't want to hear about both of them all the time in 5 years. But at the same time, I just want to be done with the guy. Like, he's so weird.
He is. And he's, by the way, I'm sure you've already seen it, but he's meeting with the Jets.
Oh, he is meeting with teams now? I haven't heard
Jets.
that.
Oh, no. They had a whole contingent go to meet Aaron Rodgers. Like, they got permission.
I didn't know that.
But him to the Jets is basically something that's going to happen if he decides that he wants to play. Like, I'm not going to say it's a done deal.
He's
but
going to
it's
have
up
to go to
him
the
that
AFC.
he wants to play.
Great. The Dolphins are now third best team in their own division.
So, now we can jump back into basketball again.
But, yeah, no, the situation with Jaw gets hairy, and it doesn't even just get hairy on Jaw. You look at the impact of the standings. I mean, we're sitting with, I believe it's 20 games left in the regular season, and the Memphis Grizzlies are the 3 seed, and they're safely in the playoffs, I would say, 7.5 games up behind Denver, but, I mean, the playoff race is crazy tight. Like, the Phoenix Suns are the 4 seed, and they're 10 games or 10 games back. But the Pelicans, who we're playing the Mavs right now, are 5 games, and Luka's out for the game, the rest of the game. That could be a factor for the going forward. But the Suns are only 5 games up on the 10 seed with 20 games left, and there's a whole slew of teams fighting for these play-in spots. The Lakers, a team that we all said they're done. I mean, last week I'm on record for sure saying the Lakers season's over.
Me too.
Oh yeah, and now here the Lakers and the Clippers are fighting at 8 and 9 because the Clippers have lost 6 games out of 7, and the Lakers have won 7 out of 10.
Yeah, since the Russ effect is what I'm going to call it.
I know, it's really saddening as much as I...
So, since the Russ effect, the Lakers are 7-3 without him, and the Clippers are 1-5 with him.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And, I mean, the Clippers will end up being a team that probably make the playoff because what will end up happening is Kawhi will actually have to play a regular season game. Him, how sad for him.
I know.
But him and Paul George will get it going, and they'll sneak in. But, man, you've got teams like Oklahoma, a team like Portland. I mean, do you want to face Damian Lillard as a 10 seed? Nope. Good. Oklahoma City, people sleep on that youth of that team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a man among boys, and as the leader of that team at only 25 years old, 24 years old. So there's a lot of young guys in that, and then you get to the Eastern Conference, which is the team conference that's a lot of teams had favored, and heck, there's only a 4-game gap between the 1 seed and the 3 seed with 20 games to go. I mean, there's so much to be decided, and you're dealing with off-the-court issues if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. And you just lost one of your starting forwards to an Achilles tendon tear, Brandon Clark. So, and the Sacramento Kings, you have to say it. You got to bring them up. They're sitting as the 2 seed right now. They were harassed last year at the trade deadline when they traded Tyrese Halliburton. Oh, you finally draft a good player. You're the Kings. You would get it wrong all the time. You're trading Tyrese Halliburton. Now you're the 2 seed, and don't get me wrong, Tyrese Halliburton's a great player for the Pacers. Pacers have other needs and stuff like that, but the Sacramento Kings haven't made the playoffs in 20 years. And
Has it been since Chris Webber and all them?
It's been since before guys like Chris Webber and all them, I want to say. Like, I would say with Divock when he was at his height.
Chris Webber was...
Well, yeah, but it was Divock's team. Webber was on it, but
Divock,
Webber never became...
Divock, Peja, Webber, and Mike Bibby.
Yeah.
And Doug Christie.
And so that would have been the last time that you've seen the Sacramento Kings compete for a playoff spot.
Like, back in that era, I know the players on the team.
Hey, there we go.
Like, that was my jam. I know all of them.
Props to them. The Suns have won 3 in a row since they got Durant.
And Bobby
He
Jackson.
just started playing. I hate Kevin Durant, but you can't deny their talent with him.
Durant is injured in warm-ups, and he missed his son's home debut.
He missed the home debut. Well, And the Suns have what might be becoming the most hated guy in basketball, Devin Booker. In Dallas basketball, I heard someone compare Devin Booker to Dwayne Wade. Like, Dallas basketball fans, I know from living here that they don't like Dwayne Wade because of the 06 finals.
Yeah.
He got every call, and Devin Booker doesn't get every call like that. He doesn't play the same way, but he does have that. He's got that bitch boy mentality. Like, dude, put it nicely.
He does, man.
He doesn't want to. He's the guy that doesn't talk shit the whole game, and then the game's over, and he knows he's won. And he's like, "Yeah, punk ass." Like, come on, bro. If you're gonna run your mouth, start from the tip. I can respect you talking crap to me if you do it the whole game, but if you wait until you know you won, you're a bitch.
Like, I hate it whenever we make these posts in the Facebook group on Off Topic Sports when we're basically like talking crap during football games, and then we've got a couple people that'll wait till the very end, and once the game's over with, they pop in and start wanting to talk, and I'm like, no, you're muted.
You can't talk crap now.
If you're not talking during, you're not talking after.
My Dolphins suck, but I'm going to tell you that we're going to win until we lose, which is when the game starts. But and so the Mavs are the 5 seed right now for the local fans. We have some Mavs fans that they've looked better the last couple games, from my understanding, but there's still some ball movement issues. Yeah. It's not even.
It's like I said, like, this is going to take a full off season for Luka.
Yeah, and they're going to have to figure it out. They're not the contender that they were. I don't think that it's different situation wise for like how the Suns can get Durant, because Durant, though he plays a lot with the ball in his hand, Chris Paul is the point guard. Like, I hate Chris Paul personally, but he's the point guard. And so when the way he sets up and moves people, you just have to get open, he'll find you.
Yeah.
And Luka's a similar style of play, but he's not the passer or the view. I mean, Chris Paul's the fourth option on the Suns now. He doesn't have to work as hard as he had to in years past. And so he's going to make a transition for a guy like Durant very easy to do.
Yeah.
Now, the Nets, they're still sitting in the 6th seed after trading away Irving and Durant. And Mikal Bridges, the kid they got back in that Suns deal, he's one of the pieces. Since the trade to the Nets in the now 10 games, his points per game are up 7 points a game. He's gone from 19 points to 26 points a game. He's had 2 more rebounds a game, 1 more assist. Like, Mikal Bridges might have the Nets just might have got themselves a star. And if you don't know who Mikal Bridges is, he looks just like the kid from Karate Kid, like the new from Cobra Kai. Like, he looks like that kid, the young kid. So they might have got them a player. I mean, it's gonna be a fun race. The Heat are playing better since adding Kevin Love. They've started moving around. They added a veteran wing that can help rebound and stuff like that. That's helped them. And we were talking. The Wizards are in the playoff race right now too with Kristaps Porzingis. Wizards sitting at the 10 seed, about 3 games up on the Bulls, who just have not been very big disappointment.
Who did they just get? They got somebody.
The Bulls?
Yeah.
The Bulls were talking about blowing it up because they have so much star power in Levine, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic. They have some names on that team, and they just have not been able to get it together this year. So it'll be an interesting race watching how that all comes down, and then we get into what the real fun of March basketball.
Hold on, before we get into that, let's talk about how Bronny is now a 5-star prospect.
He is. I feel for that kid.
And
I really
can we just say that he's a 5-star prospect because of who his dad is?
I don't think you can. I've watched the kids play. The kid can ball.
But
I don't know if he's.
He didn't get his 5-star rating until LeBron made a comment on Twitter about how he's better than some of these players that he's watching on.
I'm sure there is an influence.
And it was like the next day he was a 5-star.
I'm sure there is an influence of who his dad is, but I really hope the kid gets a chance to prove that he can be a baller. Because from watching him play, he's a very good basketball player. I mean, the kid is...
Their last game, they got blown out, apparently.
His last high school game? Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see what he does when he gets to the college stage. Because what's weird is... Nowadays in the world of media, you can get anything. You can get these high school kids' stats off Max Prep and any of that. And if you look up Bronny James, it's very challenging to actually find his numbers. Like, really? I tried to find him one time, and maybe it's different, it's been a while, but you can't get on there. Like, you can get on and see what these top prospects usually average points per game-wise and all that stuff, and I had a hard time finding it. Now, maybe it's updated, but that was a struggle for me, and so, because that was back when he was early into his recruiting process. And so... Next year, when he gets to playing, I hope he goes the Division I route. He doesn't need the money of being a G League kid. I'd love to see him go the D1 basketball route. I'd love to see him go play at an Ohio State, that would be family for him.
Yeah.
A Memphis to play for Penny Hardaway would be a possibility. USC is probably a candidate because he's living in Southern California. If I've lived in Southern California, I'm picking UCLA, personally. There's more history in the program would play into my decision. And so that would be something to see. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him and his collegiate career and all that stuff. And he hasn't even committed to where he's going to go to school yet. So, are you trying to find his stats? They're hard to find, right?
So, as of January 23, Bronny's averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists, and 1 steal. Basically 2 steals.
I'm surprised his assist numbers aren't higher, because from what I've watched, the highlights I see of him, he's a very good passer. So, it is surprising that you do not have higher assist numbers.
They got to score the bucket.
That's true. It is high school basketball, so that does play into it. And then... being that you get into college candidacy, you get into the tournament, and it is conference championship week.
And I think before we hit that, we should talk about what's going on with Texas Tech.
What happened with Texas Tech?
Oh, you didn't
I'm
hear
a
about
Tech
that?
fan, and I don't know what's happening with Texas
Oh,
Tech.
no.
That scares me.
Joey McGuire?
Oh, the football coach.
No, basketball coach.
The basketball coach isn't Joey McGuire.
Who's the basketball coach?
Yeah, I just went blank. Why'd you have to ask me? No, I don't remember. I'll look.
Well, whoever it is, he's in hot water for
Mark Adams.
Mark
Racial
Adams.
insensitivity.
Okay.
Sounds
Yeah.
about
So what it was is
What else is there to do?
he actually mentioned a Bible verse to a player to inspire him, but the Bible verse was talking about slavery in it. There was more to it, but that was in there also. So the player was like, "Yo, that's
you shouldn't.
he should have picked a better verse to use."
I'm gonna say I feel like I have not dug into this. It feels like that's a situation that could have been handled in house and not have been.
Oh yeah.
I feel like, but player got upset.
Yeah.
Probably went to someone, and then someone made a big deal out of it.
And then the next Texas Tech news.
Man, guns up, holster.
Chris Beard could be heading to Ole Miss.
Oh, I told you he'd get a coaching job. There was not going to be a hesitation that man ended up getting a head coaching job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is too good at coaching basketball that the minute the charges were dropped that he was not getting a D1 coach. Let's be clear. Chris Beard, if it wasn't for the fact that he's such a good recruiter, could probably coach in the NBA. But he's so good at recruiting, they're going to keep him in college. With the college recruit, which there's going to be a job opening that he could get mumbles for if he doesn't hump onto Ole Miss too quick. With Syracuse opening up. Because Jim Boeheim, in his 47 legendary years of coaching, that never shot free throw shooting, did decide today after taking a loss to Wake Forest in the conference tournament that he will be hanging it up. So no more of the amazing 2-3 zone that Jim Boeheim runs. That was what brought Jim Boeheim into helping coach Team USA basketball, is his ability to work the zone defense. So, what's wrong?
TCU's Eddie Lampkin is reportedly away from the team, cites mistreatment from Coach Jamie Dixon.
And that's a bubble tournament team right there.
There is something on Instagram, on his Instagram story, alleging racial remarks.
Oh, goodness.
Coach Dixon, we did not talk yesterday.
Well, with the tournament started,
there's a lot going on with Texas sports right now.
Texas sports are all over the map. And with the tournament,
there's nothing going on with the Longhorns, though, baby.
Well, they're playing in the conference tournament. Chris Beard's gone, but they're still playing. Right now, we've got some teams. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams. It looks like that have already clinched. Gonzaga, a perennial tournament team. They're not as good as they've been the last couple of years, but they're still in the tournament for sure. Oral Roberts. Told y'all last week, watch out for Oral Roberts on your bracket challenges. They won their conference tournament last night. Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Get real vague. There's your Texas team that's gotten in. Louisiana wins the Sun Belt. So none of the big schools have been decided yet. A lot of the big conferences are going right now. The Big East tournament's going on at Madison Square Garden. That starts tomorrow, I want to say. And so by Sunday, we'll get the big bracket. Sunday night, the big bracket will drop, and you'll find out who plays who. The big championship games will finish Sunday. It's basically their the big champ, SEC, the Atlantic 10, the Big 10, the ACC. They'll all figure it out about 3 o'clock, and then come 6 o'clock, they'll drop the final bracket. That's who will be in the tournament, and we'll go from there. So it'll be fun watching it all square out, see who we end up with. But then you get to see who got the shaft and who didn't. And then next Tuesday, you'll get to see us, or next Wednesday with free agency starting in the NFL. We'll have to probably drop our bracket picks for you because time to study up a little bit.
I'm going to have to do a little bit of studying. I'm going to have to take a break from
my draft stuff. You better do you'll have to
research.
study on Monday. do your bracket Tuesday so that you're all ready to go for free agency, which we will post any free agent news we can get on the Buck and Mike Experience Facebook page. So look it up.
There's going to be a lot of it.
Anytime a news breaks, we try to share and update things. Both of us will get on there. We'll, copy links, drop them on there just so you can get them. So if you're not on, following all those other pages, we're going to be there to give you updates too if we can. So hopefully that you trust us with your sports updates. And so then we've got WBC, the World Baseball Classic. Preseason baseball gets going. I will say I've watched a little more of it. Pace of play has started to come together. The players are grabbing it better. And you can see it from the little bit of action I got to see. I watched the first game of the WBC last night was the Netherlands versus Cuba. The Netherlands ended up winning.
Now, are they doing the clock there also?
They are not doing the clock there, but you can kind of see the players are staying with it. A lot of the big leaguers are. They were. I only got to watch probably a half inning, but they were in and out of the box. The fun thing that with Cuba was, this is the first time that Cuban-born major league players got to play for Team Cuba, because in the past it was basically a crime. Like if you get to the big leagues, you were defecting your country and basically saying that I'm renouncing my citizenship as a Cuban.
Yeah.
And so you got to see Luis Roberts, young Moncada from the White Sox, both young. Moncada hasn't really lived up, but Roberts is a quality young ball player. And then you got to see Yoenis Cespedes. You remember Cespedes? He hasn't been a full-time big leaguer since 2016. He might have one of the most memorable, he's had injuries in 17 and 18, and so it never really held up. He might have one of the most memorable throws from the outfield I've ever seen from that left field corner when he hosed that dude at home plate on a single arm.
I can't believe it's been that long.
But it's been that long since he was, and he is also coming into this World Baseball Classic the leader in slugging percentage for World Baseball Classic. Like he dominates at this event, so the Cubans will need it because that's what got him into the big leagues, was doing good there. And then there's a couple of games tonight. The problem is with the World Baseball Classic is because there's games going on in like Taiwan and places like that they can't put the games on at like 6 o'clock where we can just watch it tonight while you're on your couch.
So Australia and Korea are playing at 10 p.m. tonight on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, so you have to stay up late if you want to watch the game, and then it's like 5 a.m. is the next game time. It's almost like how they did the World Cup. It's just that they're not doing a rebroadcast like the World Cup did. The World Cup would show you the game, and then they'd rebroadcast it later.
At 5 a.m., China and Japan?
Yeah, and Japan is stacked. Like, any team that has Shohei Ohtani should be good at baseball, except the Angels, because they have two good players.
And that's it.
That's it. They did the MLB The Show ratings came out, and the Angels have two players on their team that are rated a 99 overall in the video game, and I bet you the next rated guy is probably in the 50s. I don't actually know that. That's not true research. But it is true that they have two 99s on that team, and they can't. They also gave Jacob deGrom of the Rangers like a 96.
I just actually.
I'm assuming that 4 points is because his health is probably a 45.
Oh, where was it at? Right here. So I just saw that he reached 100 mile an hour in 35 pitches in his first Cactus League action.
Yeah, so
that's somewhat
promising. Let's hope you want him to stay healthy because he's good. And as someone who has tickets to watch the Rangers play this season, you want to see him grow. Like, you want to see. I like watching the Rangers play good, so it'll be fun. But there's some good teams in this for the WBC.
Yachty is managing Puerto Rico?
He's the manager for Team Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And so that'll be Panama plays the Netherlands tonight also. And then the Panamanian team beat the Chinese Taipei last night. I don't really know who all's on those teams. A lot of the games to end this week are your, Cuba, Czech Republic, China. You're not going to get a lot of big ones. It's Saturday when all the action goes wild. Like every country plays Saturday. The Great Britain versus U.S. game. That one's popular, but it's not the most popular U.S. game because Sunday the U.S. plays Mexico. And that bad boy has filled out the entire Chase Field. Chase Field doesn't sell out during regular season games in Arizona. Like, Arizona just isn't that good normally. Like, they're okay, but they have sold out the entire stadium for that game. And that's not even taking into account that 2 hours before on Saturday, the Dominicans play the Venezuelans. That's going to be a ball game.
Who's on Mexico's team?
Who's on Mexico's team? Let's see. They actually, I want to say, have a pretty solid roster here. We'll pull it up so I can make sure I announce it all correctly. If I can get it to pull up. You found it?
Jamie Arias. Jesus Cruz.
I had a list of all the big leaguers on these teams that make it more fun. Because those are the names you're going to know.
Yeah,
there will be players that make themselves known. That's what happened with Cespedes. Cespedes was like a prospect in Cuba that people kind of knew, but then he blew up in this event, and
that was all the pitchers. Catchers, let's see, infielders. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
I don't think it matters who's on Team Mexico though. The fact that it's bordering countries will make it a big deal.
Yeah,
you have Freddie Freeman playing for Team Canada. Marcus Stroman was the MVP of Team USA Baseball when we won the World Baseball Classic in 2016. Marcus Stroman does not play for Team USA this time. I think he's on Team Puerto Rico now. I don't know how. You can just switch. I guess if he's a Puerto Rican American, technically that's the same thing. Or it's not. Depends on how you look at it. So that'll be an interesting thing. Stroman, yeah. Stroman, the Chicago Cub pitcher. Sadly, our best pitcher. Where are we going? Here we go.
Let's see.
You pulling up where he's at?
I mean, he's from New York.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, he's probably got the heritage, so they allow him to do it since the heritage.
I mean, the U.S. team is so good though that you're gonna run out Mike Trout. You're running out. You've got Pete Alonso, Tim Anderson, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Trey Turner, Bobby Witt Jr., JT Realmuto, Mookie Betts, Jeff McNeil, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Schwarber. You've got all-star players on their team that aren't going to play. Like, they'll be coming off the bench. There's restrictions on the rules, obviously. These guys are getting ready for a big league season. I think you can only throw like 65 pitches. Like, as a starter, you can only throw 65 pitches before you have to come out. Okay. And so that you don't have to worry about your players getting hurt.
That's probably why they have so many pitchers on the roster.
Oh, yeah, they're going to, because there's so many restrictions. Oh, you've got Rowdy Tellez from the Brewers. He's a quality ball player on Team Mexico, so that'll be some. Randy Arozarena from the Rays. He puts on a great BP session. Man, that dude just...
Man, there was another person that put on a really good BP session. And then he got caught with a cork bat. What was his name?
Why you gotta bring up bullshit? Okay.
What was his name?
Sammy Sosa. He liked to cheat a little bit. But you know
what would be good right now?
If he had a consulting firm that could help him find a better career.
Yeah.
Stephen Farmer could help him out because he's not doing a career in baseball, that's for sure. hit my guy up if you need anything for while you look for new careers and things. He's helped me out. I'm 3 days into my new job, and it's a lot to take in, but man, it's fun. It's nice getting to do something different and feel like there's a chance to grow and do more. So if you want to do that opportunity, SNK Consultants will get you there. So other than that,
smooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was props. You get it. You get the transition of the week award. I didn't see. I thought Mr. Chris was going to send us another question that he wanted us to answer, and I didn't really see it. I'll have to go back and check the Facebook page.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either.
But I'll go back and look, Chris. I know I talked to you specifically. If anybody else, same thing. If you think of anything that you want us to share, like, we're cool with talking about ourselves too. Like this. Yeah, we want to talk about sports that are coming and sports that are going to happen. But
he did make a comment.
Did he? If we find one, we'll get into something because we want to have that personal relationship. I mean, it makes it more fun. It gives us that ability to engage with the audiences.
So,
things like that. And we are gonna work on dabbling towards eventually trying to do this live, where maybe we can draw an audience that then goes and joins our pages and all the adventures that go with it. So other than that, I mean, unless he finds the question, which is probably back a week of posts and I just didn't see it, you can blame me starting a new job for not having as much preparation as I normally would. But
I thought he made a comment on
the other one, well, I mean, we can always just think of something up. Like, you know what? He did say something. He asked, "What was your favorite sports drink?" I know that was a question he asked. Do you have?
Yeah, here it is. I found it.
Yeah.
All right. So, favorite hydration while playing sports or exercising. Favorite thing to eat after a day at the softball fields or time at the gym. All right. So this is very simple for me. So my favorite hydration is right in here. It's just BCAAs. It's great for recovery. I don't drink anything with sugar in it, so my stuff is usually pre-workouts and then my BCAAs to help recover.
I have some BCAAs. I just don't drink them good enough, but they're good. I need to be better about it. I did a workout on my lunch break today, and I just hit it with a bottle of water. I hit my lunch before. Because of the restrictions on my diet, I have certain things I can and can't have, so it just depends. I mean, I eat whatever I want, but I have to eat such a limited amount that it depends on how much I've ate throughout. If I ate before I go to do my workout, typically if I'm done, I might maybe a protein shake. A Premier Protein is a good one for me. They do some new flavors and things, but I won't act like I don't have me a nice Gatorade. I do like the Jake Paul one now. That can't remember what it's called, but the Jake Paul energy recovery drink that he has.
Okay.
That one's pretty solid. I've had some good flavors, and I like that, but it's really hard to get. So.
Okay, and your favorite thing to eat after a day at softball fields or gym?
I'm gonna be honest. If it's after a day at softball, I have gone all day.
It's gonna be something good.
I have probably not ate most of the day. I'm stopping at whatever the first food chain that's there. Taco Casa if I'm in Mansfield. If I'm in Rowlett, it's probably Taco Bell or Dairy Queen. Those are two places that are close. I do love me some Dairy Queen.
I actually did this last week. So on Saturday after I hit my workout, I burned like 700 something calories an hour. When I was done, went straight over to Dairy Queen. I was like, I'm getting me Dairy Queen. Like,
you have to get the mini blizzard so you don't eat the 700 calories that you just burned.
But after the gym, typically, since I work out at nighttime, my dinner is usually something pretty healthy. This past week, pizza. It's pizza that I make. It's not from anywhere else. Like, I buy the ingredients, I make my pizza, make it healthy. I can make a pizza, an entire full pizza, full of cheese and everything, and it's 500 calories for the whole thing. So, like, I get full off of it here. Today, I actually used a different bread and from Baboli. It's a thin crust. The brand is Baboli.
Okay.
But, and then I actually used fresh.
As we discussed.
Something's talking and I'm not quite sure what.
If you're an undercover agent, you need to be undercover.
I'm just going to close that page.
So what I actually did today was I used actual fresh mozzarella and grated it myself to put on my pizza.
Fresh mozzarella is good.
I will say this, from bagged mozzarella to fresh mozzarella,
totally different.
It's like here and then here. Like there's a huge level.
Different.
And after I ate it, I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
Yeah. Now the price is also from here to here.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Fresh mozzarella, fresh anything is almost always changing the game of what it does.
Like I always use fresh ingredients, but I always just use bagged mozzarella. And I read somebody said that if you want to make a better pizza, use fresh mozzarella and grate it yourself. And I'm like, oh, that means I gotta do all this crap.
The work, and
I was like, you know what?
Such a pain grating cheese because you get to the end of the block and you're trying not to cut your finger while you're grating it, and it's a hot mess. And so,
All right. Favorite NBA player all time.
Whoa.
And
We don't want to burn all of them. Let's save some because we'll have weeks of questions to go. I say we save them and we'll come into it next week. Is that what that is? His favorite NBA player?
Yeah. NBA, MLB, and NFL.
Well, so unfortunately, we all know who my favorite NBA player is, but I'll save mine. And I say we bring those in. We'll open with that stuff next week because we're
okay.
We'll open up with our fun stuff, and then we'll roll into all the serial because it's going to be a pretty serial week of stuff with all the free agency news and everything else that's going on. So favorite NBA, MLB, and we'll just do current this time. We'll start at current, and then we'll think past and present in the future. I think we've talked about our past ones before, but. We'll touch on that start next week. I think that'll be a fun way to get going. So
we'll do that.
With that said, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Please keep following, liking, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube channels, Facebook pages. Tell your friends, tag them on Facebook pages, invite them to it. All that fun stuff. Anything we can do to help grow it. I mean, we're not in it to make money, but if we can get more people listening, that gives us easier ways to get input and more content.
Yeah.
Makes it fun for us. I mean, we do this because we just enjoy talking sports, and well, if we put it on a video, y'all can't not listen to it, or you can, but either way, we're happy.
And we have it broken down into chapters, so you can just literally just jump to what you want to listen to.
Yeah, he takes the time to put a time stamp on every one. So if you only want to hear us talk football, if you only want to hear us talk baseball, if you only want to hear us talk BS and life, like. I'll get into a cooking channel if I have to. Your boy throws it down to some mac and cheese and a bunch of other stuff. So, there's going to be times we know this is a slow time of the year that's about to lead into 100 miles an hour worth of sports.
Oh, man.
And so
next week is going to be crazy.
There was some question about why you started a sports channel when you did. Well, we know eventually it's going to pick up. So this gives us time to practice and get to know things. Like we've adjusted our chairs, our angles of our cameras, the clicking of our pens. Like there's things that we were doing that we both were like,
I don't have a chair to make
his chair doesn't squeak anymore. Like we wanted to make sure that we could improve the content and the listening experience the best we can. So next week we'll bring in our athletes we like. A lot of college basketball, a lot of NFL free agency. That's for sure. Some recap on baseball. So
that's gonna be an episode next week.
Yeah, it's gonna go. Like, we wanted to shorten up this week's because last week's was kind of long. Be ready for next week. So
I don't think we shortened this week though.
A little bit. We'll see.